Imagine living in a world where your wealth, your freedom, and even your future are quietly shaped by forces that you cannot see, and yet they touch every single decision in your life. Governments, central banks, corporations, powerful lobbies, they all operate like invisible hands, pulling the strings of the financial system. Most people go through life unaware of how these forces impact them, until it's too late. But here is the truth: you are not powerless. If you understand the patterns of power, if you build the right defenses, you can not only protect yourself from abuse, but even thrive while others are being crushed. History is full of warnings. Think of Germany in the 1920s, where hyperinflation turned savings into worthless paper. People carried money in wheelbarrows just to buy bread. Think of Argentina, where government defaults wiped out pensions overnight, or the 2008 financial crisis, when reckless decisions by a few bankers triggered a chain reaction that cost millions of families their homes, jobs, and futures. These were not random accidents. They were consequences of concentrated power, governments printing endlessly, corporations chasing greed, and ordinary people left holding the bill. The lesson is simple but urgent. Power always protects itself. It always finds a way to shift risks downward. And if you don't understand the game, you are the one who pays. But if you do understand it, you can step outside the trap. You can see the moves before they happen and protect yourself. That is what this lesson is all about: how to shield your wealth and your freedom from the abuses of power. The first pillar of protection is diversification. Imagine your financial life as a castle. If you store all your wealth in one tower, one currency, one bank, one type of asset, then a single attack can destroy you. That is what happens when people save everything in local currency, only to see inflation eat it away. Real investors build moats. They spread their assets across different classes: stocks, bonds, real estate, precious metals, even digital assets. They spread across different countries and currencies. This way, if one tower falls, the others still stand. Diversification is not just a financial strategy. It is insurance against concentrated power. But diversification alone is not enough. The second pillar is knowledge. Abuses of power thrive on ignorance. Inflation is called the silent tax because most people don't understand it until their purchasing power has already vanished. Debt is marketed as freedom, but in reality it chains millions to a lifetime of repayments that only enrich the lenders. When you don't know the rules of the game, you are not a player, you are a pawn. Knowledge changes everything. Once you learn how inflation really works, you stop leaving your wealth in cash. Once you learn how debt compounds, you stop signing away your future. Knowledge is not just power, it is freedom. That's why the investor school exists, to give you the clarity that most people will never have. The third pillar is liquidity. Power often strikes suddenly. A political crisis, a war, a sudden market crash. These events never announce themselves politely. And when they hit, those who have all their assets locked away are trapped. Liquidity is flexibility. It is the emergency fund that lets you move when others freeze. It is the cash that lets you buy opportunities in a market crash, while everyone else is selling in panic. Liquidity means you always have options, and options are the antidote to control. The fourth pillar is sovereignty. This is about reducing your dependence on systems controlled by others. For example, if all your wealth is inside a single banking system, you are at the mercy of that government's regulations, taxes, and policies. But if you own assets abroad, if you have a second currency, if you have investments outside your borders, you gain sovereignty. You are no longer fully exposed to the decisions of one government or one elite. In a world where power is constantly shifting, sovereignty is your ultimate shield. Now, let's talk about offense. Defense keeps you safe, but offense allows you to grow. Once your castle is protected, you can start turning the same forces that hurt others into opportunities for yourself. Inflation destroys savers, but it rewards those who own real assets like property or stocks, because their value rises with prices. Market crashes punish the unprepared, but they also create once-in-a-decade chances to buy quality assets at a discount. Every abuse of power, every manipulation of the system, creates pain for those who don't understand it, but it also creates opportunities for those who do. Let me give you a real-world example. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, governments around the world printed trillions of dollars. For most people, that meant the cost of living went up, wages didn't keep pace, and savings lost value. But for investors who understood the pattern, this was an opportunity. They moved into assets that benefit from money printing: gold, stocks, even certain cryptocurrencies. While the masses were being squeezed, those with knowledge and liquidity multiplied their wealth. That is the difference between being a victim of power and using power to your advantage. And here is where I want to pause for a moment. If you are watching this right now, it means you care enough about your future to seek knowledge. That already puts you ahead of 99% of people who simply hope things will work out. But hope is not a strategy. Knowledge and action are. And if you want more strategies like this, the kind that go beyond surface-level advice and actually help you protect and grow your wealth, then subscribe to Investor School right now. This is where you will learn to see through the illusions, defend your freedom, and build a financial life that cannot be easily controlled. Because here is the hard truth. Abuses of power will never stop. Politicians will keep printing money, corporations will keep lobbying for rules that favor them, and financial elites will always try to shift the risks down to the average citizen. You cannot change that. But you can change how it affects you. You can choose to stop being the one who pays the price. Think about every empire in history. Rome collapsed. The Soviet Union collapsed. Countless kingdoms have risen and fallen. But in every collapse, some people survived and even thrived. The ones who understood money, who understood power, who built defenses. They didn't wait for governments to save them. They saved themselves. The future is uncertain. We don't know what the next crisis will be. It could be economic, political, or technological. But uncertainty does not mean helplessness. It means preparation. And preparation starts with diversification, knowledge, liquidity, and sovereignty. These 4 pillars are how you stop being a pawn in someone else's game and start playing as a master of your own destiny. So ask yourself right now, when the next wave of power abuse comes, whether it's inflation, a financial crash, or a political crackdown, will you be ready? Or will you be another victim, another story in the long history of those who trusted the system too much? The choice is yours. You can't stop the powerful from playing their games. But you can stop being their victim. You can build your defenses, you can harness opportunities, and you can claim your financial freedom. That is the path we walk here together at Investor School. And it all starts with the decisions you make today.